Welcome to the Safari Arie experience with your host, Brandon McCaskill and Arie Hugerbrick, otherwise known as Safari Arie.
All right, this is the extended version of the Safari Arie Roadshow where there's no limit to the time that we talk, just so we can get more things out and cross ideas back and forth. So what do you want to talk about, Arie?
First of all, it's the
Floor's yours.
Safari. Hold on. First of all, it's the Safari Arie experience, not the extended roadshow.
My
It's the
bad.
Experience. Yeah.
My bad.
Sorry.
Let's start this again.
No.
What?
You don't have to.
Man, I feel stupid for screwing that up though.
Yeah. No, but we'll see. Okay, but you didn't let me finish.
Okay.
Since you do all the hard work, you're forgiven. See? Because you do the hard work, you're forgiven. Anyways, so we just did a quick update to kind of recap that a little bit. I'm currently in Las Vegas, and I decided I'm going to stick around for 60 days more. So currently it's actually February 1st, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually booked at an Airbnb until April 1st. And if you look, I have this small bedroom. It's not even a bedroom. It's like 8 feet long by about 4.5 feet wide. I don't even have a proper door. I have a curtain. Yeah, it's basically some kind of closet. But it's all good because for the price, I could probably be in a cheap, crappy hotel full of cockroaches and bed bugs. So, whatever. So it's all good. So anyways, I digress. The reason I've decided to hang for 60 days is I have a bunch of things that I'd like to work on that have basically been far, far too difficult to do on the road, even when I get to a host, because it can be, say, an average of 2 weeks between a host. By the time I get there, I have so much content that even when I stay at a host for 6 days, which when you think about it is crazy to stay at someone's home as a stranger for 6 days.
Yeah.
But between what activities I may or may not do with them and when I can get away to do my work, after 6 days, I'm basically caught up, period. Like just on the current, nothing beyond that, nothing beyond other goals and passions or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm in a situation being February 1st. The plan from Las Vegas is to go into Utah, which right now is in the middle of winter, which, is cold. And I don't like the cold. I may have biked last winter in the cold, but I don't like the cold. And also with COVID, the whole escalation, that's the thing is I can't do any work in restaurants because it's takeout only or doors are closed. So I'm in sunny Las Vegas, and it only makes sense to take this time to maybe get some things done. Now, that leads to the next question. Well, what's the plan? What are you trying to get done? I would like to start working on some extended media reach, potential sponsorship. There was something that I'm having a brain fart. I know about the connecting the passions, but there's passive income. So media reach, sponsorship, passive income. The other thing is to connect my ride to a greater cause that has, I guess you could say has been on my heart for a few years. So where do we start in regards to just sort of unrolling some of that that stuff out? So and I guess excuse me, what I'm actually going to go to passive income for a second, because that is sort of unrelated, because I've stated many times that this ride is financed. But basically when I say it's financed, it means that I'm paying for this ride out of my savings, and I'm quite content to pay for this ride out of my savings.
Yeah.
But there's a few factors that maybe a lot of people don't realize. Some people will realize, okay, first of all, I may not look 47, but I'm 47 and I'm an unemployed truck driver. And when this ride is over, I need to actually go to my physical home, which is in Belize. I have no desire, no plan to get back into a truck. Been there, done it. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life, but I've been there, done it. So technically I'm an unemployed truck driver who's about to move to a third world country with, in the grand scheme of things, by the time this ride is over, probably very, very, very little savings.
Hmm.
And we were just discussing off air earlier. For example, since this bike ride started November 12th of 2019, so now we're into February of 2021, so we're a year and whatever, a few months. I've spent like $1,500 on my phone bill.
Hmm.
Now, for someone who's unemployed, $1,500 adds up, and that's just one category. That's just my phone bill. That's not all the other expenses.
Hmm.
And the reason, I mean, I'm going to say 60% of the reason I actually have a phone, maybe even more, is strictly for the documenting and interacting with my audience.
Yeah.
If I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, from the perspective of completing my bike ride, in one sense, like, I don't need, like, you know, like, the audience is something completely separate. Like, I could quite easily do my bike ride without a phone.
Yeah.
But I can't do it without a phone if I want to continue to connect with my audience, kind of deal.
Hmm.
And so certain expenses like that add up on a monthly basis, kind of deal. So I would like to create some kind of sort of a passive income that will chip away at that monthly, you know, those monthly expenses that are related to more of the document. You know, not to mention, I mean, I spend an average of 30 hours a week. I think it averages out probably at least of documenting.
Yeah.
And that is strictly creating content for my audience. 30 hours a week, that adds up.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? So, and I mean, now I'm going to spend 2 months. I mean, I'm going to probably average 10 hours a day average for the next 2 months.
Hmm.
Unpaid.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, of course, that's my choice. You know what I mean? I mean, no one's forcing me. No one's making me do this. I could keep riding, and I could not do any of this and just ride, and it would save me a ton of time, and it would save me a ton of money. But for other reasons, which I'm going to get to in a minute, I choose to do this. But then, you know, like I said, doesn't mean I have to choose to literally you know, go broke by the end of this ride, though I may very well, and that's okay. I've even accepted that aspect, that fact.
Right.
So probably from there, what I would like to probably jump to is connecting this ride to a greater cause.
Hmm.
Some, many, potentially few, who knows, people may realize that if you go to my passion projects page on my website, safariarie.ca, I have a desire, a passion on my heart to plant or have planted 1 million trees in my lifetime. This is, and it's interesting because the bike ride actually sort of came first. I mean, the genesis of the bike ride was back in 2011. And it wasn't until many years later, basically the way I explain it is one day I woke up and realized, like, oh, this is what I want to do when I grow up.
Hmm.
And that is to plant trees and have trees planted one way or another. And like I said, I have this legacy goal that in my lifetime I'd like to plant 1 million trees, but I'd actually like to turn that M into a B,
Yeah.
a billion trees. And actually the way that I kind of explain that is, even for a millionaire or like a successful businessman, that first $1 million is always the hardest. But the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, they come a whole lot quicker.
Yeah.
So that's my mentality of turning my 1 million trees planted into a billion, because once I get to 1 million, it should be 10 times easier to keep adding to that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see as many trees as I can possibly see planted in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Just my passion. That's the thing, is you know, I have a home in Belize. I would like to start a tree nursery
Yeah.
to help facilitate that. Anyway, so the thing is I have this bike ride on one end and I've got this tree planting passion on the other. And it's like, how do I connect them? Because, you know, it's not like it's 10 things, it's just 2 things. And you know, the thing is, you know, planting 1 million trees is a lot of trees, and planting 1 billion trees is even way, way more.
Yeah.
And you have to be realistic about what you're capable of and your resources. And technically, as a 47-year-old unemployed truck driver, if you look at it from that perspective, I don't have a whole lot of resources to plant that many trees.
Yeah.
But if I capitalize on my experiences of this bike ride, it helps me build credibility. For example, biking, that was part of the motivation, biking through the Canadian winter, 2019, 2020 winter. Gives me a level of credibility. Pedaling 12,340 kilometers across Canada, during the winter, during a pandemic, having 55 hosts, close to a record kind of deal. These are and then obviously continuing my ride and continuing over 3 years, pedaling, hopefully potentially at least 50 to 55,000 kilometers, creating an audience, documenting all of it. It potentially gives me a whole lot more credibility when this ride is over, to connect with either certain people or certain organizations that may help me see that million trees planted, and would help me see that million turn into a billion someday. And so, it's funny because in the beginning of the ride, people used to ask me about, like, am I doing this for a cause, this and that, and I even actually polled, a lot of my audience, and everyone was, and it was quite amazing. It was really interesting how passionate people were about their opinions on that in the sense, and we don't have to really go into that perspective, but but there was an aspect where it's like, well, people didn't realize, it's like, because they're just seeing what I show, and I never really pushed the tree planting side of things. People didn't realize that about me, and they're like, no, it's all about you and this and that. And it's like, well, yeah, but what they don't realize though is that actually, no, everything that I am doing is to create a level of credibility to do this tree planting someday in the future when the ride is over.
Right.
And so anyways, this is obvious, like, crossing Canada was what it was. It was the greatest experience of my life. Probably one of the greatest crossings of Canada that has ever happened in the grand scheme of things. But now I'm in the US, and I'm in X amount of months, thinking maybe May, June, I will enter Mexico and continue south. This is a completely new phase of the ride. And so I want to start thinking about, how do I start connecting the ride to the greater cause of what I'm passionate about, because the reality is someday this ride will end.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it's time for the next stage. And so
it's
so
coming in my head right now, because
Sure.
I have a buddy of mine who does a YouTube channel, and he does this thing where every so often in his videos he'll be like, go to this link if you want to buy me a cup of coffee.
Sure. Yeah.
So people can donate.
Mhm.
In your instance, it could very easily be, if you want to own a tree, or if you want to help me plant a tree, hit that link.
Yeah.
Simple as
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No, and that's, okay. So I don't know if we can maybe put that link. I have, like, on my passion projects page, I do have a link. I have a campaign technically already set up with one tree planted.
Yeah.
And maybe we could put that link that that if you'd like, it's basically, it's $1 plants a tree.
That's really cool.
And I have a it was set up a long time ago kind of deal. Like I said, it's not something I've really pushed, because I haven't had the resources to kind of take things to the next level in regards to actually create the time, the space to work on this stuff. I have a little bit here and there. I've had time to do this and that, but it just not to the level that I would like to, and that's why I want to spend this time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The other thing is I just before I forget, is my plan actually, if people have listened this long, it's always a trick, right?
Yeah.
In the interest of creating content, in the interest of just documenting this experience of the next 60 days. I do plan to do a complete separate set of videos to show my, I guess I don't know if the right word is progress, because whatever it is that I do, the results are not necessarily going to be um, available quickly.
Mm.
A lot of what I'm going to be doing is an investment of time into creating contact lists of people that I would like to start reaching out to regularly, whether it's media or whatever, or potential sponsorship or whatever. So those results are not necessarily going to be shown immediately, but I do plan to document the experience of, over the next 60 days in video format, where I kind of do an update of, so these were my goals for today, and this is what I accomplished, and my game plan moving forward with whatever I accomplished is A, B, and C kind of deal.
Yeah.
And so there will be a whole complete separate series of videos that are just going to revolve around this experience of, excuse me, what I can accomplish in the 60 days.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, part of that is to just create content, because that's the thing, is you want to build an audience, you need to create content, and you need to create it regularly. And ultimately that's what I'm doing, is over the 60 days, whatever it is that I do accomplish is technically content. So so one is to create the content, and I had a complete brain fart on what the other reasons were. Well, one is also to get me more comfortable in front of the camera, like, because I do pretty good with you here, but without you, I actually kind of start rambling and fumbling on. So, I'm going to basically just use my phone, and I'm just going to just document it via video.
Yeah.
And so in my world, that's actually rather intimidating. So this is actually going to be a challenge that's going to help me get better at the experience of just talking into a phone. So that's another reason why I'll be documented. The other reason is because I am doing this, I'm going to go through this extra work of documenting it, even though it may not be exactly the most exciting stuff or whatever, in the sense, depending, unless you're interested. If you're interested in this stuff, then, this could be a really cool resource of just some guy. Cause I'm a college dropout. I just wing it. I don't, you know what I mean? And so, let's put it this way, in one sense, it's like, if I can do it, then you can do it.
Yeah.
If you have a certain level of disciplines, but, I don't know why I'm having, I swear I didn't drink a lot. So the idea is that by putting it on video, is that it will actually also give me, accountability, exactly, to accomplish a certain amount of work on a daily basis, but also to help me become more bold and aggressive with reaching out to certain people.
Right.
If no one's watching, or if people, I don't want things to be too boring. So it just, and I'm not saying that's not necessarily a guarantee. I'm just, like I said, I'm just going to, when we're done this video, I'm going to go, because I made a list of my priorities the other day, and I'm just going to start looking at my list, and I'm just going to start, hammering them out, kind of deal.
Nice.
So anyways, that's the plan over the next 60 days is to build on that.
Awesome.
I guess also, just since we're at this stage of the video, like, also just, if there is by chance anyone watching that has some suggestion or some ability to help facilitate, because you never know who's watching you, and I don't know who's connected to who. I don't think Bill Gates is watching, but who knows? Maybe Bill Gates is watching. He's like, oh, I can solve a lot of your problems. So just let me snap my finger. I mean, not that I want my problem solved with snap of a finger, but maybe Bill Gates is watching right now, and he's like, hey, you know what? I kind of like you. I like your haircut. So I can contribute this to your goals and dreams and ambitions. But that's the thing. So there's a few things I'm working on, and if you think you have something to offer, please reach out. I would love to hear about it.
Cool. Let me ask you this while we're kind of on the subject. So give me, what do you see for your future? Let's say you reach Argentina, bike ride's over. are you going to, because obviously, well, I won't say obviously because anything can happen, but it's probably very likely that you won't reach your million planted tree mark at that point, at the end of
Oh
your ride.
no, oh no, of course not. I mean, it's a
So,
lifetime goal,
yeah.
right? So it's just when the bike ride is over.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the thing is I'm going to start focusing on that incrementally while I continue my ride, because that's the other
Right.
thing is entering Mexico, Central South America. I'm going to start hitting rainforest areas,
Hmm.
and those are the resources for me to learn more. Because that's the other thing. Full
Yeah.
disclosure, I don't know anything about trees.
Hmm.
The passion for the trees was awakened while I was in a truck working 80 to 90 hours a week.
Yeah.
And then this ride happened the way it happened very unexpectedly, which is a
Right.
whole other story if you've never heard it, but if for people who are familiar. And so I had to do everything I could possibly do to get this ride rolling as quickly as possibly could. So, I mean, I've never even read a book on trees.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so moving into Central South America, the plan is to actually start, maybe connecting with various organizations and maybe spending a few weeks at a few different locations to actually
Yeah.
learn, get hands-on, get dirty with, this whole tree planting thing.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing is it's like, I could get to Argentina and nothing. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that is like no doors got open for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And you know what? And the thing is I'm actually okay with that. Like I don't know, it's, and it's been an ongoing personal struggle dealing with, just ambition and accomplishment and success.
Right.
And I've come to terms with the fact that if all I do is get to Argentina still alive,
Yeah.
that is a success.
Hmm.
If nothing happens beyond that, then that's okay.
Yeah.
All the various experiences along the way, the experiences of documenting, the experiences of creating an audience, all those, you know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
still all a success.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, and if that's the case that, and I just go to Belize and my bank account is virtually empty and all I got is enough money to buy a bunch of chickens that are going to, lay eggs and be my meat and buy some rice because it's cheap and,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and be flat broke for the rest of my life, then
Hmm.
so be it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to come to terms with that before I started my ride that, I could die.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, I mean, I don't anticipate things being horribly dangerous. I don't anticipate dying,
Hmm.
but I have to come to terms. Like, the question: if this ride were to kill me, literally,
Hmm.
am I okay going on this ride? Yes. If this ride means that I will be flat broke for the rest of my life because I have to get to Belize because my house is waiting, is that okay? Yes. Like I kind of went through that list of what's
Hmm.
the worst case scenarios that could result, and I have come to terms. Okay, cool, not a problem.
Okay.
That being said, not that I have this expectation, but I mean, in normal human experiences, if you put yourself out the way I have been,
Hmm.
take on like this massive challenge, um, document it the way I've documented it, um, I would be kind of surprised if certain doors aren't opened as a result.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it would be crazy to do as much work as I've done and not, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure there are people in this world that have done a fraction of the amount of work of whatever they've done or whatever, or however they've done it. And they've had much greater result, they've had great results. So I would find it hard to believe that by not getting to Argentina, that I haven't opened at least a few doors,
Hmm.
um, that would, take me in, and that's the thing. Who knows what door or doors may or may not open between here and there.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it could be huge. It could be nothing. Probably maybe something in between,
Yeah.
and that's great. Whatever. first and foremost, this ride is about the experience. And if this is the last thing I do in my life because it kills me, then
Yeah.
I've accepted, like, I've come to terms with that. And that's part of we actually did a video series on fear, and and I don't know if that agreement or that realization gives me a sense of calm. But like, I really don't, and I don't say this foolishly, but I really don't fear anything. Because in that video I sort of said, partially because I don't have the luxury to fear things. I have still, I have to go through Central South America kind of deal. If I start getting afraid of things today, then I'm in big trouble.
Yeah.
But I don't have a fear of moving forward, because I just don't have. And so like I said, if something happens out of it, then great, and if nothing, then I've accepted that. So be it.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking in terms of content, even if your bike stuff came to a halt, you got to the end of Argentina, you could continue that content with the tree stuff. And
no, that's, I mean, well, we've sort of discussed when you came on board initially, you were saying about, having this everlasting type content, in regards to, just to start a channel. And I said, oh dude, you don't have to worry about that. The content will never end, because I mean, that's the thing is when I get to Belize, man, Belize is, and we're going to do some videos on that. We discussed that, but Belize is an amazing place. Like, I'll be producing content on a regular basis.
And it goes back
amazing place in the country, or in the world. Sorry.
Yeah. It goes back to what you were saying about your content it seems like it's just everywhere, like scattered content, but it's like, it's just because your life is so, you got
interesting.
Interesting. But like, you got these main pillars, like your bike ride, your passion, and reptiles,
and the trees.
But it's all like, there's so many different angles you can come from those pillars.
Oh yeah.
And it's all interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think if you're the audience, if you're listening right now or watching, you want to stick around. I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's over. I think it only, and that's the thing is,
it's just begun.
Going into Mexico, technically it only gets more exotic from there.
Yep.
Kind of deal. And then from the bike ride, like I said, it's in Belize, and I mean, who knows where it all leads. And like I said, if it leads nowhere, because that's the thing is also, from another angle of putting yourself out there, like in the public eye, or however you want to articulate it, and I have wrestled through these issues, and I've had unrelated some experiences just to see what this, how this can affect people or whatever. And I'm quite mindful, and I'm very observant. If it's not meant for me, like quote, like God's will for me to be in this public eye to potentially be successful. I mean, that's the thing is and that's actually actually we could probably at some point do a whole other conversation on success, because I do in a way struggle with success, because when you look at the average successful person in the world, the amount of collateral damage they leave behind, whether it comes to family, their children, selling their soul, the level of collateral damage that successful people leave in their wake is, I'm going to say, astronomical. It's almost to a point where it's like, in one sense, the last goal you should have in life is to be successful, because it's almost like nothing. I don't know if, like, it's so weird, because when you think about it, like, the statement, it's almost like nothing good comes out of success. Because you know what I mean? Because even if it's, because the thing is from a job, like say you have the successful job and you make lots of money and you get this nice big house, and then you get married and then you have kids, but then your kids don't see what it means to struggle and to work hard, because all they do is they live off, I mean, that they just live off of whatever it is that you provide, and then then your wife sees how, like, wow, if we got a divorce, I get half of this. I'm not saying it, or vice versa, whatever. I'm not trying to, but it's just, I see more damage in being successful than struggling.
Yeah.
And so
We actually
and
did do
so
we did a huge conversation on this when you posed the question on me. Remember that? A few weeks
oh
ago.
yeah,
We
just
had a
about
whole
just finding
episode on this.
peace. Yeah, but we didn't. The only thing is we didn't really. I don't think we really. Well, we did touch on various bases. Yes, for sure about
Yeah.
success in a sense. But yeah,
It's all
um,
true though.
yeah, no, exactly. And so I'm very mindful of the pitfalls. Very like that's the thing is I'm extremely mindful of the pitfalls of success.
Yeah.
Um, and and where that can lead. And I mean, in one sense, I mean, technically, as a truck driver for 6.5 years, in one sense, from a financial perspective, I was the
Mhm.
most successful I've ever been in my entire life. Like, and I was more successful by tenfold. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's after being self-employed and having 13 employees. Um, all that money from the business was always reinvested kind of deal. I never saw technically any fruit from any of that.
Hmm.
But from being in a truck, um, I was probably the most successful I'd ever been. But I was able to set that category. It's like this is the most successful, best paying job of my entire life.
Yeah.
But I'm only here for a season. I'm
Hmm.
here to get in, make money towards the bike ride, and then get out. And literally from the first week of getting in a truck, I was actually telling myself that almost on a daily basis.
Hmm.
Don't get used to this money. Don't get used to this because
Yeah.
this is only for a season.
Hmm.
And so there is an aspect where, there's that. It's like when it comes to success, it's like um, I'm almost okay. That's the thing is I've got this level of ambition, and then success wants to creep, and it's like,
Yeah.
so does this mean that I need to be unsuccessful in life and come to terms with that?
Yeah.
There's an aspect. That's the other thing. Is like I want to plant all these trees. All these trees could burn in a forest fire tomorrow.
Yeah.
So does that mean I just sit on a couch and just not do anything?
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm okay even by planting a million trees and having a million trees burn
Hmm.
because it's out of my hands anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just, I think that's sort of been something that has happened with this bike ride is just that becoming aware of that ability just to release. That's,
Yeah.
it's a thing I do actually on a semi-regular basis. It's sort of this exercise that I was exposed to through a podcast I listened to, Wild at Heart, John Eldridge,
Hmm.
and it's Christian, and he just talked about how just with the world going crazy and so much is out of our control, is that you just have to kind of under your breath go, and it's basically releasing it to God, but it's just God, I release my finances, I release my
Mhm.
success, I release this bike ride, I
Yeah.
release the stress that Belize causes me. I mean, that's getting back to finance. Belize costs me $1,000 a month
Hmm.
average.
Wow.
So on top of being unemployed, top of being unemployed on this bike ride, probably $12,000 to $15,000 gets shipped to Belize for property maintenance kind of
Wow.
deal. Yeah, that's a lot of money for someone who's unemployed.
Yeah.
And it creates a heck of a lot of stress. It does.
Hmm.
But once I release Belize, I release my finances, I release, and so I do actually make it a practice of just under my breath, I
Yeah.
release this, I release that,
Hmm.
kind of deal. And so, anyways, this video has probably gone way, way, way longer than
Yeah.
probably should.
Good
I mean,
stuff.
I hope that people have watched, or that people will start watching these longer
We hope you're still with
videos.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you are watching, hey, I appreciate you putting the time in, and
Absolutely.
hoping that somewhere along the line it's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right. Well, we can
yeah,
end this right here. It's good length.
yeah,
Thank you guys for watching, and we will certainly catch you in the next one. All right. Thanks, Ari.
yeah. See you later.
Peace.
Bye.